cop's been brutally murdered by a gang of thugs, left for dead in the wilderness. His best buddy, Jimenez, also a cop, ain't taking it lying down. He's out for some good old-fashioned revenge. Gathering a few of his fellow officers, Jimenez tracks down one of the gang's lackeys and, after a friendly chat, squeezes out the location of the gang's hideout. Under cover of darkness, the squad gears up for a showdown. They take out a lookout without breaking a sweat, then stealthily sneak into the gang's hangout, a rundown building. Locked and loaded, they've got their sights set on the gang's room. Just as they were about to execute their explosive raid, the building's security guard, armed with a shotgun, decides to join the fray. Little did they know, his commotion alerts the thugs inside, who immediately launch a counterattack. Jimenez takes a fatal hit, barely hanging on. The bomb rig to the door explodes, injuring another officer. Then, a thug steps out and, without hesitation, guns down the main security guard. Thanks to him, before they could exact revenge, they all get rounded up. Immediately, Adewale demands to know their purpose for being there, but they remain tight-lipped, refusing to confess anything. Thinking they're there to rescue hostages, Bola swiftly clears his clip and sends the hostages away. Faced with these ruthless killers, Wessam has no choice but to spill the truth. Learning that they're seeking revenge for their colleague, the brutal Adewale decides to eliminate them to prevent any future threats. Little do they know, no one is getting out alive today because, at that moment, the city is suddenly hit by an unknown virus, and a horde of zombies is quietly closing in on the unfinished building. After just dealing with Jimenez, a strange noise echoes from the room where the hostages are being held, accompanied by terrifying growls. Everyone is startled, and Adewale signals for one of his henchmen to check it out. As soon as the door is opened, a large hand suddenly reaches out, grabbing him by the neck, and then bites down. It's clear that the hostage has turned into a zombie. The thugs immediately start firing, but the bullets seem to have no effect on the zombie, which continues to attack them vigorously. Seeing one of their henchmen being tackled to the ground, two others rush in to punch and kick, to no avail. It's only when Adewale shoots it in the head that the zombie stops its assault. The bewildered group is left even more confused. Wasn't the hostage just killed by Bola? Before they can make sense of the situation, more growling echoes down the hallway. As soon as one of the henchmen steps out to investigate, he's dragged away by a zombie. Even more terrifying, the two henchmen who were bitten earlier have also mutated. Panic ensues, and everyone scrambles for their lives, forgetting about each other in the chaos. Despite Adewale's shots, the zombies' onslaught continues unabated. The remaining few are forced to flee to the rooftop, temporarily barricading themselves inside. Bola, who was just moments ago ruthless, is now trembling in fear. But as they regain their senses and look towards the distant city, they're stunned by what they see. The entire city is ablaze, with thick smoke billowing into the sky, resembling a scene from Doomsday. A large horde of zombies has already gathered downstairs, trapping them completely in the unfinished building. In order to survive and escape from this nightmare, the ruthless criminals and the representatives of justice have no choice but to temporarily set aside their differences and unite against the zombies. It's clear that this is the only way they'll have a fighting chance. After deliberation, Wessam and Adewale decide to retrieve weapons from the previous room and then find a way to break through the encirclement. Fortunately, the hallway is now devoid of zombies, and even Jimenez, who was just shot dead, is nowhere to be found. Armed with their weapons, the group begins their descent down the stairs. The dark corridors are eerily quiet. As they pass by a room, it seems that there are zombies lurking inside. Aurora and the injured officer, cautious of the danger, proceed with great care. Suddenly, a zombie lunges out and attacks the officer before disappearing from sight. Aurora immediately follows after. Then, two more zombies ambush the rest of the group. Jose, one of the criminals, is caught off guard and engaged in a fierce struggle with a zombie after dropping his weapon in an attempt to take cover behind a door. Though Jose managed to knock down the zombie with his powerful punches, more zombies are closing in. He quickly seeks refuge behind a door, but as soon as he steps inside, the fallen zombie bites into his thigh. With the zombie refusing to let go, Adewale decisively smashes the door's window, shoots the zombie, and then firmly locks the door shut. Meanwhile, Aurora locates the zombie that dragged the officer away, engaging it in a fierce struggle in the kitchen. Aurora's punches prove to be stronger, quickly overpowering the zombie. Seizing the opportunity, Aurora grabs a nearby tool and unleashes a relentless assault before using a refrigerator to pin the zombie down. Unfortunately, the officer has already been bitten. Knowing the inevitable outcome of being bitten, Aurora brings out a pair of handcuffs for him to lock her up, but her fearful teammate refuses to accept his fate and knocks Aurora unconscious with a tool. Meanwhile, the rest of the group prepares to head downstairs when they suddenly spot a figure in the hallway massacring zombies. Upon closer inspection, they realize it's an old man. His calm demeanor indicates he's a tough individual. Spotting Jose's bitten leg, the old man leads them back to his room to tend to Jose's wound. However, the infection has spread to his thigh, requiring amputation to save his life. Jose refuses to accept this fate, adamant about not losing a leg, so the old man respects his decision. On the TV, they see news of the city's collapse, with the military retreating to an outer military base where they've established a safe zone, accepting all survivors. Upon hearing this, Wessam decides to break through the siege and head to the safe zone. But Bola wants to hold down the dilapidated building and refuses to venture out, even threatening to take out anyone who dares to leave. Adewale shoves Bola to the ground, clearly siding with Wessam, which sparks Bola's discontent. With everything prepared, they begin to depart according to the plan. But as soon as they step out of the room, a zombie lunges from the end of the corridor, prompting Bola to shoot and disable its leg. Seeing the fallen zombie, instead of finishing it off immediately, they start playing around with it, joining Jose in his twisted amusement. Seeing their behavior, the old man decides to join in too. However, unable to tolerate it, Adewale steps forward, dispatches the zombie with a single shot, and then gives his brother Bola a stern lecture, pinning him against the wall for emphasis. After schooling his brother, Adewale moves aside to pry open a door, leaving Bola bewildered. Jose, not one to shy away from trouble, steps in to sow discord. Just then, the door beside them opens unexpectedly, revealing the bitten police officer. Wessam rushes over to check on him, but Aurora swiftly ends his suffering with a gunshot. Perplexed, Wessam presses Aurora against the wall, beginning his own lecture. Learning the truth, Wessam finally releases his grip. They pry open the elevator and step inside, but just as Wessam jumps down, Bola holds a gun to the back of his head. Encouraged by Jose, Bola decides to part ways with his brother and confiscates their weapons. No matter how earnestly Adewale tries to persuade him, Bola remains stubborn and heartlessly kicks them out of the elevator. With the sound of zombies growing closer, the unarmed group has no choice but to continue running downstairs. However, when they reach the ground floor, they are petrified by the sight before them. The entrance is swarming with countless zombies, and just the sight of them through the steel door sends shivers down their spines. Luckily, the guard room nearby was stocked with various weapons. Each of them chose their preferred weapon, but Aurora aimed her gun at Adewale, showing that she hasn't forgotten her original purpose for coming here. Fortunately, Wessam intervened in time, recognizing that in their current situation, every additional person means added strength. However, as they stepped out with their weapons, the zombies broke through the glass of the door. They rushed towards the basement, with Aurora trying to hold off the zombies from behind, but their numbers were overwhelming. Finally reaching the basement, they tried to shut the door, only to find it blocked by the zombies. The three of them fought desperately against the onslaught of the zombies, but then the old man noticed Bola's backpack. Adewale followed the backpack and found himself near a car, where he saw Jose, mutated, feasting on his own brother. If it weren't for Jose's manipulation, Bola wouldn't have died. Filled with rage, Adewale aimed for non-vital areas and unleashed his fury on Jose, relentlessly smashing him against the wall until his head was nothing but a pulp. Despite being a brutal criminal, Adewale was incredibly protective of his brother. With the group finally managing to close the door, the price paid was Wessam getting bitten on the hand. However, just as they were about to continue their escape, they suddenly heard the ominous sound of approaching footsteps nearby. A massive wave of zombies was closing in. Without hesitation, Wessam, knowing his fate, stepped forward to shield the others. As the trio barely made their escape, the horde of undead surged forward, but Wessam, with a resolute gaze, faced the approaching mass of zombies head-on. He charged into the midst of the horde, fighting bravely, until he climbed atop a nearby car, surrounded by the relentless undead. Wessam let out a furious roar, then unleashed a barrage of gunfire at the oncoming zombies with his dual pistols. When his bullets ran dry, he drew his machete from his waist and fought on until he had no strength left. Finally overwhelmed, Wessam was consumed by the horde of undead. Meanwhile, the other three encountered their own attack while fleeing. Luckily, the old man's firepower was fierce enough to carve out a path through the zombies with his machine gun. However, the zombies kept coming, and the iron door behind them remained stubbornly shut. After a round of gunfire, the old man quickly ran out of bullets. With the zombies closing in, he urgently called for Aurora to toss him a grenade, ready to take them down with him. Without knowing if they managed to escape, he decisively pulled the pin on the grenade. Fortunately, at the very last moment, the two managed to open the iron door to escape. Meanwhile, the old man was tackled by the zombies, but he seized the opportunity to shove the grenade into one of their mouths. After a fierce explosion, only the two survivors managed to make it out alive. However, Adewale was unaware that Aurora, behind him the whole time, hadn't forgotten her quest for revenge. Before he could fully comprehend their miraculous escape, he found himself staring down the barrel of Aurora's gun. Even amidst the apocalypse of the undead, Adewale couldn't escape the consequences of his actions, especially after witnessing Jimenez's death at his own hands. In the end, Adewale couldn't evade justice and was dispatched with a single shot from Aurora.